Hello, my name's Janetta from Nex-Gen Farm. In this video series, we are talking about buying beef from your local farmer. We have a full guidebook on our website at nextgenfarm.com. You can print it off for free and follow along with this video series, or you can just follow along in the video series and hopefully we'll help answer your questions and make it less stressful for ordering beef from your local farmer. In this video, we're going to go over freezer space. How much freezer space does your typical household freezer have, and how much will you need when you're ordering beef from your local farmer? So a typical household freezer has 3 to 4 cubic square feet of freezer space in it. In that 3 to 4 cubic square feet of freezer space, you're going to get about 35 pounds of beef available to fit in there. 35 pounds of beef, depending on your family size, may last you about a month if you were to pack that full of beef. But we all know that we typically have more than just freezer space just for beef. Quite often, this rooster is very loud. Quite often, we'll have ice cream or vegetables or an ice maker or different things in that freezer. So when you're thinking about how much meat you're going to fit in there, that ice maker is going to take up some of that space. And if you have other things in your freezer, it's not completely empty, you're going to want to think about where are you going to store that meat, what's going to work well for you and your family. I'm going to start with a large portion of meat, and then and how much freezer space for that large amount, and then we're going to break it down into smaller amounts. I think it makes more sense as we talk about it this way. So if you were to order a full cow from your local farmer and it's at the butcher, it's getting processed and you're waiting for it, and you got to make sure you have enough freezer space to be able to store that animal and be able to organize it in your freezer for it to make sense for you. So you are going to want to look for a freezer with 21 cubic square feet. 21 cubic square feet will give you some wiggle room so that you can organize that meat into different sections, so that your ground beef can be in one section and your steaks in another and your roast in another, however you want to break it down and organize your freezer space. I recommend not going with a smaller freezer, but going with a little bit bigger freezer for the amount that you are ordering, so that you have the room to wiggle around and move and organize things. A 16 cubic square foot freezer is likely enough for your ordering a full cow. It's just not enough to be able to do much organizing or moving around. If you were to order a half of a cow, you really are going to look for a 9 to 12 cubic square foot freezer. That will give you enough room to organize the meat. If you're going for the bare minimum, an 8 cubic foot freezer could do it. But again, you're going to be very tight on space, and organizing the meat is going to be difficult. For a quarter, which is the most common size that people order the first time that they're ordering meat from their local farmer, is going to be about 6 to 7 cubic foot freezer, and with 5 cubic square feet being the minimum. So a household freezer would be able to hold 3 to 4 cubic square feet in a household freezer. So that would be recommended for about 1/8 of a cow. So if you're ordering a quarter cow, it's going to be a little bit more than what your typical household freezer can handle. So keep that in mind when you are ordering your beef. Another thing is to keep in mind is how your meat is packaged, which we'll talk about further later on in this video series. But if you are getting vacuum sealed packaging, you really don't want to be moving that packaging around a lot, because you'll lose the seal. The seal will fail if it gets banged together or gets moved around a lot, and that's not going to do you any favors. You want to make sure that the meat stays good for as long as possible. So keep that in mind as well. In the next video, I'll be talking about a mixed quarter. So just to clarify how typically, if you are going to be ordering a quarter cow from your local farmer, how that mixed quarter is broken down.